Hi, I'm Heather Christensen, and this is Kiara Bowden, my daughter. We're turning it up, a mom and daughter team that's dedicated our lives to helping people heal in many ways and basically live the best lives they possibly can.
Yes. Hello. So today we're going to give you lots of information on how to not trap emotions. So last week, let's just do a quick recap of last week for those who didn't watch it. But we talked about trapping emotions and why our body traps them. We also talked about the different types of trapped emotions the week before and what heart walls are. We also went over how trapped emotions are essentially energy blocks that the mind's subconscious or programming traps to protect your pure spirit from being hurt and hurting. And then we also talked about how when we are full of trapped emotions and have a heart wall, that it can cause havoc on the body and mental and emotional state. Did I cover all
Yes, yes,
that? Okay.
yes, you did. Do you ever feel like in this situation, like we're trapped in these windows and we can't get out and walk around?
Yeah, I do.
I'm not used to teaching that way. I'm used to getting out and wandering around people and talking and enjoying people contact and stuff. But yeah,
Such is life for us right now.
I feel like a trapped emotion.
That's a good definition.
I'm an energy block.
Hopefully,
But this
we
is
don't actually act that way.
well, what Kiara said is basically a reminder that if you have a bunch of trapped emotions and a heart wall, that when you are tossed into another event, which your subconscious or the programming of your mind perceives as negative, all of those trapped emotions jump to attention and go to war for you. So essentially, this is actually the body's sympathetic nervous system. It's meant to protect you. And in the last segment, I said parasympathetic as one of the things, but no, it's sympathetic. I didn't mean to say parasympathetic,
Oops.
but it's meant to protect you. And this autonomic system, in combination with all of those trapped emotions, can cause you to seem unreasonable, angry, hot headed without reason, or depressed and anxious in a big way, or even overly emotional. Have we all been there?
Yes. I also want to point out I always yawn in these videos, and it's because I am tired, but it's not because I'm bored. But anyways, I think it's also important to bring up a couple of reminders about if you don't want to trap emotions. The first is if you think that you may already have trapped emotions, to get them cleared out, the obvious solution. Find someone you trust that does this kind of stuff. We specifically recommend the emotion code modality. That's what we use. And get some important work done on yourself. Or you can talk with us. We can do it via the internet, and we usually can clear people within 3 to 5 sessions. Most people are cleared in 3 sessions. Um, it's a good thing to get those cleared out before you enter a situation where you don't feel in control. And then another important thing to remember is that clearing out the emotions so that you have a clean slate is also the first step in not drawing in more negative emotions to you. Because we talked about the law of attraction, how like attracts like. So if you're already vibrating negative with those trapped emotions, that's what you're going to attract. And it's just going to keep building and building. Um, yeah, we talk a lot about that in our It's All About Vibrations playlist that we have on our channel. Um,
List or playlist? It sounded like you said plate list.
well, I said playlist, but we are over the internet, so maybe it sounded like playlist. And then the second reminder is to be, or I guess this would be the third reminder, is to be in the habit of calming your mind and connecting to your heart or your spiritual intelligence. This is so important to do all the time. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But if you have been doing the work to get into that habit, you will be a lot more efficient at working your way out of trapping emotions.
Yeah. And I think that's a great segue into the information that we have to share. So uh, let's say you have cleared your emotions and you've been working on connecting to your heart's intelligence to calm your mind. And then you go into what your programming perceives as a negative event. So this is what our body does. We talked about this last time. Your sympathetic nervous system is always ready to help you and will get you into the flight or fight mode. You get a big shot of adrenaline. And that's when you usually feel the panic, the anxiety, the desire to run or to fight. back to protect you. You may come off as angry, even fearful, or any other negative emotion. Some people will immediately cry. Others, like myself, may laugh because that's what I do when I feel nervous. Our family does.
Talk about inherited emotion. I inherited that from you. Let's
It's
just laugh at
terrible.
every possible awkward situation and scenario.
Yeah, yeah. So for a moment, you might not be in the right mind to deal with your emotion properly. But if you prepared yourself, you'll be in a much better position. So it may take a couple of seconds or even minutes. The longer you've been working on reprogramming your mind, the less time it'll take to calm yourself. And this is all an awareness. That's why we've been trying to talk about building habits just layer by layer. So if the programming has taken hold, your awareness of how you feel will immediately alert you to what's going on. You'll be mindful. You'll automatically begin to breathe deeply, inhaling and exhaling, focusing on the place of your heart and going to that happy place or feeling that love, right? Doing this connects you to your heart's intelligence. And the important thing to know about these steps is that when your sympathetic nervous system is going into full swing, the thing to calm it down is the parasympathetic nervous system. So the vagus nerve is actually one of the largest nerves in the body, and it goes everywhere. And so when you activate it by connecting to your heart's intelligence, this is what calms you down. It relaxes that sympathetic nervous system, and it actually takes you out of the fight or flight. So that's the first thing to know when an event hits you. Connect to your heart's intelligence. The second thing you need to know, or the second thing you need to know, is that we found your emotions don't usually trap right away. Unless your brain perceives that you are in so much pain, it will quickly start putting up the blocks to help you go through the situation because it perceives that you're in so much pain. So it's going to block things to try to protect you. For example, I recently worked on a client that just went through a really traumatic childbirthing process. And within days, she'd already begun forming a heart wall because she was in so much pain. So honestly, it really depends on how much trauma your brain perceives that you're in.
Yeah, but for the most part, you don't seem to trap emotions right away. They'll typically swirl around for a while and sometimes even months before they actually trap. Like I'll find an age that someone trapped an emotion at, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, that didn't happen at this age, but it did happen like when I was the age before." And I was like, "It's probably the same experience. It just took a while to trap." So
Well, and something that we also know is that when people trap the emotion, it could be like within that year leading up to that age.
yeah.
So that makes sense too, that she was feeling that at that time too.
Yeah. Because sometimes it takes a while, I feel like, for your body to process the trauma and not process it out, but process it within and then go into shock about what happened. And I think a lot of people can relate to that of why it would take a little bit for them to trap. So for people who are in good habits of releasing the pain and tension they are in, they won't really have a tendency to trap these emotions. So let's talk about what these habits are. Number one is mindfulness with an attitude that everything is neutral until you give it meaning. We talk about this all the time if you watch our videos. So in our reprogramming series, we talked about how we have the agency to choose the meaning of events that we are in, how we will respond, and what we will do after they happen. This can either put us into a negative or positive emotion. It's all in the eye
Yeah.
of the beholder.
That's right. That's right. And so the second thing that can help with not trapping emotions is physical exercise. Some people just really like to get in there and do some hard punching or some all out running and things like that. I think that's great because it gives your body focus to do something else. But to really deal with emotions, physical exercise with slow nasal breathing is what's going to help calm that or awaken that vagus nerve and calm that sympathetic nervous system. So some great physical exercises are yoga, tai chi, qigong, martial arts. So for people my age, this seems to be a common thing we need. And more people my age are coming to understand that that's what they need at this time of life is to slow down. In fact, when they connect to their spiritual intelligence, that's exactly what they're being told is you need to take some time to calm down, to connect, to start to listen to your body and see what it needs to heal. So It is a great healing tool. And then the third one would be meditation and breathing and visualization to help calm the mind as well.
Yeah, I really like both of those ones. I think I use those the most. Um, Another one, number 4 that we have is to create something. When you're writing your thoughts in a journal, you are creating ways to release and allow yourself to come to the point that you can find the gift out of this experience. A lot of people seem to use writing as a form of therapy and processing. I know that you do that. You have boxes full of journals. I feel like I used to do that, and then I feel like I kind of shifted when I changed, throughout my life in how I like to do it. But I like to create, I like baking and like doing projects, and I feel like that's my form of creation. But I feel like the most common one is to write, because you can write about what you're feeling and it allows you to calm your mind and to think about what happened or may have happened to you. But yeah, so you can express what you're feeling. That will help release the emotions. But yeah, you can do it in any form: drawing, painting, sculpting, baking, sewing,
Yeah, that's a great way to calm
music.
your mind. What?
Oh, I just said music.
Oh, yes, music. Music is a wonderful way. So yeah, we actually encourage clients a lot to process things in the journal too. Think about things and process things in the journal as we are coaching people. It's important. What I like about writing in particular is there's a lot of self-reflection. When I would write in my journal, I would just dump the first few pages. I would probably just dump everything that I was feeling, just dump it, dump it, dump it, dump it. And then all of a sudden I'd get to the point where I was starting to calm down and feeling better. And I didn't know it then, like I'd done this ever since I was a young girl. I didn't know it then, but I was actually allowing my vagus nerve to take over and calm everything down, which then gave me the opportunity to look at things and actually find the gift. In fact, if people were to read in my journal entries, they'd see all of this big dump. And then they'd see, oh, but this is great. And this is wonderful. And this is why. I mean, it's silly, but it actually worked great.
Yeah, I do think though it's important to mention that just because you might be good at doing that doesn't mean that you still don't have any trapped emotions. And like you still had a really big heart wall and lots of trapped emotions, even though you're really great at doing that. But it can help you from trapping more or as many.
Right, right. Well, and you also have to consider too that I came to this life with a big heart wall.
Yeah.
And so I was already vibrating negatively and drawing more things to me. So that probably helped me release a lot of current things that were going on before I even had that skill. I was probably trapping a whole lot, but I think that helped to release a lot of things. Could I still trap emotions? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I'm human and I'm not perfect.
Sure. But the inherited trapped emotions certainly play a big role in a lot of people's heart wall.
Yes, they do. Yeah, we found that out, haven't we? In fact, we've had little kids or babies even that have come to this life with huge heart walls, not only because of inherited, but also um, premortal, what are they called? Emotions.
Or emotions that they trapped during the birth process as
Oh,
well.
yeah. That's another thing. That's right. Yeah. End up clearing babies all the time because the mother is definitely sharing her emotions with that baby and she's sharing the emotions from the baby as well. So
Yeah, both of my babies had to be cleared of emotions. So I
it's
get
such a great thing to have this knowledge so that your children have a better chance at having a more peaceful life.
yeah,
And
well, just learning the skills that we're talking about and being able to teach them the skills of how we can release those feelings and not bury them inside of ourselves. So,
right, you have the knowledge of the reprogramming too. And so I know you are always giving your daughters affirmations. I am smart. I am beautiful. I can do hard things.
they
Uh,
do great with the affirmations.
they really do. And I also love how when your children get upset, you have them take a moment and breathe, slowly and deeply and then express how they're feeling. I love that. That's so great.
I feel like
Mm.
my generation of parents got blessed with the internet in some ways because there's so many great parenting tools out there now that there just wasn't when you guys were doing it. But it also comes with the flip side of comparing and um being sucked into that social media circle. So
Well, and there's so much information out there. This also brings me back to when you have so much information, sometimes it's contradictory, right?
oh yeah, all
And
the time.
and so that's why it's also important to connect to your heart also to ask, okay, I think that this is going to be good for my kids, but you can ask your heart the question and your heart will be able to guide you in that
Yeah.
right direction.
All right, moving on.
Well, the reason that I did that, I don't know if some of you guys found that real. Oh, did we even post it? We haven't posted it
I was
yet.
gonna say, I don't think that one's been posted. More to come. Would you
Yes, more to
like
come.
to talk, I don't know what number, are we on number 5? Being mindful.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. So number 5, being mindful of your emotions, allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling, identifying them, and talking about them will help. So we just talked about how Kiara is really good with her kids and letting them just breathe and then talking about how they're feeling is
Thank you,
really helpful.
Instagram.
What?
Thank you, Instagram, for teaching me that.
But after you talk about them, number 6, it's important to find the gift in the difficult thing so that you can be grateful and move on. Gratitude is a huge part of allowing things to release because you're well into the parasympathetic state and your mind then perceives you as safe. If you don't get to this point, you won't release them, but you will trap them.
Yeah, which brings up another good point. We all have just great intentions to not trap our emotions. Why would we want to? But sometimes crap hits the fan and we are human. We end up trapping them anyways. And if you do, keep in mind that they can be released. There is hope. Like we mentioned, we can do it for you, or you can find someone, or you can even do it yourself. There's a book called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and he actually teaches you how to do it. It does take a lot of practice and commitment, and some people still prefer someone else to do it for them, which is great too. But it is possible to do it for yourself if you wanted to learn it. We recommend the book regardless of whether you want to do it or have someone else do it. It's a great knowledge to have and just kind of learn more about the in and outs of how it really works. We'll put the link for that book in the description.
Yep. All right. Well, guess what, folks? That's it for this time. Wraps it up all about trapped emotions, and that's our playlist of trapped emotions. These are really great tools to have in your pocket, seriously. And it's fun because everything is beginning to come together. You can really see how it all fits and connects to each other. Our thinking affects our emotions affect our body systems. Our body systems affect whether we trap emotions, and work on our programming can impact all of it. So there we go.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.